Welcome, my name is Bill Reynolds.
And I'm Sharon Stollery.
We are the co-leaders for ag tourism with Alberta Agriculture.
And together we'll be your hosts for this video.
We'll be covering a variety of topics to help you plan the best approach to greet and tour visitors at your site, whether that be a ranch, a farm, a market garden, a greenhouse operation, or a nursery.
The material we'll be covering will be as relevant to first-timers who've never opened their gates as it will be to those who are experienced and just want to enhance what they have to offer.
Well then, let's get started.
It's time to make your ag tourism destination
Guest ready. The first thing you need to know is, why do you want to have people on your property? You must be clear about your objectives.
So obviously selling products can be an objective.
Certainly, Sharon, selling products is often the primary objective. Whether it's landscaping material, beef jerky, Saskatoon pies, alpaca wool, more sales simply adds to improving your revenue streams.
So a farm tour is really an excellent way to show guests your operation while providing them an opportunity to purchase product from you.
Tours allow you to connect with visitors as individuals and give you the opportunity to differentiate yourself from other operators.
You'll want your visitors to keep coming back.
That should always be foremost in your mind, building a relationship with your visitor. People prefer to do business with people they know, they like, and they trust.
It's crucial to know why you want to venture into ag tourism. You should consider the reasons why before making that first step.
First of all, when you're planning a tour, you need to make sure that it reflects what you want out of the operation. So often we look at it and say, I want to make money, I'm going to do this. You need to look at yourself and say, do I want to do food service? Do I want to deal with 3-year-old kids? If the answer is no, don't do it. Look at yourself first. The next thing you have to look at is, what kind of market do you have out there? Just like I said, we teach the proficiency test. That's a ready-made market for us. It fit into what we wanted to do, is an opportunity we could take a hold of. The schools benefited from it, we benefited from it. So that was a need out there that we saw, and it was a want by the teachers, which is even better because they'll pay for wants and sometimes not needs.
When we first started our business, we didn't think we could offer an exciting tour. In fact, that was the furthest thing from where we were at the time, because we produced eggs. We thought everybody kind of understands that, but we decided to run an open house, and we were totally amazed at the response we had. We had over 1,000 people come just to look behind the scenes to see how egg production worked. That was one of our first clues. From there, we had some schools call us and say, you know, would you be interested in opening your farm up so we could take the school kids through? And so those two things started to, and once we did our first couple school tours, we realized that the teachers just loved it, and they were learning so much that they never knew, that we realized there was some opportunity and we could make it way more exciting than we ever thought we could. We have a whole farm experience we're trying to create. The school tours originally was set up as a way to bring more people into our farm. Us offering something back to the community in terms of education, we have an opportunity to send home brochures and flyers, and we also give kids free stuff. So they get free admissions to come back. And of course, if you've got a 5-year-old that's in junior kindergarten or senior kindergarten, or you've got an 8-year-old that came to our farm and they've got a free pass, they're going to bug their parents until their parents will bring them back and they can use their free pass. So that's one of the benefits, is that the school tours are a great way to cross-sell the other things we do in our farm. For us, this past year, 2004, was our most profitable year on school tours yet. It continues to grow every year. We had about just under 3,500 children go through. It was our second most profitable part of our business in terms of our return on effort. So for the amount of time that our staff worked, we had the highest net income per hour of work. So it was very profitable. In every part of our business, we don't want to do lost leader things that we have to subsidize. So school tours certainly is a very viable, profitable option.
Now it's time to pause. Write down at least 2 things you want to accomplish by creating and designing site tours.
So, who are your guests? You will need to describe in detail that ideal visitor.
Knowing your target audience will help you to determine the layout for your tour.
Right, because audiences come in all shapes and sizes. Knowing their needs and wants is crucial to creating that memorable tour.
Take a look at your audience from several different angles. Being aware of the audience's age, affiliation, interest, and knowledge will help you to tailor the experience.
Is your destination focused on adults, seniors, or children? Do you need to child size? Remember, kids have different developmental stages, so it's important to consider the age range you want to cater to.
We do get asked by teachers, how are we different than other farms? In fact, last year we had some schools that went to some other farms because their price was cheaper. One of the things that we offer is a range of prices. We give them, depending on what they want to learn, if we do a good job on sort of assessing their needs ahead of time, usually teachers don't have too much difficulty asking the children for money and arranging for buses to do the tours. We charge more than lots of other farms, and the reason for that is because we offer an education that we find probably will be better than most other farms. I mean, some other farms do some unique things as well, but one of the things, we are a little bit more labor intensive, and if we do a really good job assessing what the teachers' needs are, we understand their curriculum ahead of time, then we don't feel bad about charging for us meeting their training needs. I mean, the teacher would get paid for the day. If we have a staff working, teaching the kids, and the teacher's got the day off, why shouldn't we get paid? And so we don't feel bad about charging, but we have to do a good job of selling value. One of the things that we do that's a very important part of the value equation is we do feedback. And we ask the teachers to give us feedback at the end of the tour, and they have to make an assessment, was it worth the value? And based on their recommendations and suggestions, we will implement those changes immediately in the next tour that's coming the next day. And so that's one way we can continue to get feedback to make sure we're doing the right things that people are feeling they're getting good value from.
Are you intending on having group tours, or is the experience for the individual? Corporate picnics, church groups, service clubs, family or class reunions, school trips, and even birthday parties are all potential audiences for your site.
We offer various tours. Earliest in the year is April during bloom time, and those are primarily independent travelers that are interested to get out and have an aesthetic experience. They're not that interested perhaps in education, although if they ask it, we'll provide it. And the tour is more of a promotion. That tour, the Blossom Tour, is a self-guided tour that we offer them to go in. We let them go into the orchard, see what they want to do, with the expectation that they'll come back and spend some time shopping and maybe buying something in a restaurant or something from the bakery. So the tour is used in that case as a promotional item.
Some people in your audience will know more about agriculture than will others, and some people will have a better idea of what to expect from their visit. Some visitors may have no farm experience at all, while others may be horse enthusiasts who want an equestrian experience. Maybe they're gardening enthusiasts who want to enjoy the wonderful greenery you have to offer.
Just remember that one size doesn't fit all. Different groups need a different approach, content, and length of tour. You'll need to tailor your site to fit the needs of a number of potential groups.
Let's pause again. Describe 2 types of guests or groups and think about how their interests will impact what you provide them. kind of guest and you know why it is that they're coming, but what is it that you're going to share with them?
Sharon, you'll need to assess the attributes of the site. It's a bit like preparing a theatrical performance. You have the set, you have the cast, both human and non-human, the props, the script, and staging the entries and exits.
There are three main site attributes that you need to evaluate. First of all, your physical attributes, then of course your natural attributes, and then there's the historical or cultural attributes. So the goal is to inventory the strengths and weaknesses of your site and maximize the time spent with your best attributes.
And you probably have a unique identity or heritage that can be incorporated and emphasized. Weaving a story for your visitors is key to a memorable experience.
Physical or structural elements include land features such as woodlots, open spaces, a natural amphitheater, or a toboggan hill. They also include water features like ponds, marshes, creeks, or irrigated areas.
The buildings, like a set, can be used for different aspects of the tour. A greenhouse can be used to demonstrate how that part of an agricultural operation is run. See how this ranch has adapted a horse barn into a group rental facility? Start with an inventory of all the buildings on your site for their potential use as visual interest, play areas, retail space, food and beverage sales.
Equipment at your location are like props. They help you to tell your story. The majority of your visitors will not be familiar with your equipment. Don't underestimate their interest in how things work and when and what they're used for.
Visitors will be interested in the history of your farm, even if it's recent. Incorporating historical buildings, wagons and artifacts, heritage trails, and other historical elements will help blend your story with the physical experience.
The past residents of the farm are part of the history. Showcase your family history through things like a Century Farm Award, heritage breeds, inventions, recipes, or even a photo wall. Always keep in mind the target audience you are trying to appeal to. Think which attributes will be of interest to different groups.
Animals are a significant attribute on most farms and are part of the cast. From the common cow and chicken to the more exotic llamas and bison, there will be interest in your animals. Your visitors will want to learn about how they're cared for, what they eat, and what they're used for.
Your natural assets include not only your livestock, but also plants and wildlife. You can draw attention to these assets and your interest in good stewardship through things like an environmental farm plan or a Ducks Unlimited partnership.
Consider getting people with different perspectives to help build an inventory of your natural attributes. For example, an area birdwatcher, a naturalist, or a wild crafter.
Remember to think about these assets in terms of their seasons and cycles. Recognizing your natural assets will vary depending on the time of year.
To plan the best site layout, you need to have a map of your property. A good aerial photo will help you to create that base map. Make a note of where your house is located, any barns, corrals, and all existing buildings. Also identify other physical features like woodlots, pasture areas, cultivated areas, and open space. Show any ponds, creeks, and riparian areas that make up your water features. Historical attributes like heritage machinery need to be pinpointed. Locate where your livestock animals are, where wildlife is seen, and where interesting plants grow.
Now it's time to pause. Write down the attributes that you are going to incorporate in your tour. What activities do you want your guests to participate in? Remember, many people want to try something new. Helping them to escape by immersing them in your world should be one of your primary goals.
Anticipate your guests' curiosity. Some of your livestock and equipment might be foreign to them, but they provide great focal points and teachable moments, like why do some people make square bales instead of round ones?
Most visitors don't know the daily chores or the seasonal cycle on the farm. Help your guests to reconnect to the land.
There are many potential activities you can offer on your farm. The key will be in matching your attributes to your target audience and coming up with the appropriate activities. Think about your activities in terms of what your visitors can see, what they can do, and what they can learn.
The first thing we usually think of are the fun and entertaining things to do. For kids, you could have things like a sandbox, enchanted forest, play train, or playground. Notice that these activities can be for drop-in visitors, whereas for pre-booked groups, something like a birthday barn might be a good activity. Families may enjoy things like hay rides and a bale maze. Activities more geared to adults might include a volleyball net, a horseshoe pit, or a wedding venue. Creating an agricultural theme for your activities will help differentiate you from urban-based attractions. Think about how you can use the fun activities on your farm to create interest and desire to know more about agriculture.
You can add another layer to fun and entertainment with a learning component. This can be as easy as a standalone educational sign, or even a little exhibit. Remember, your guests may not be familiar with farm terms, and you will have to translate words like gelding, heifer, or swather. There are many resources available to help with farm activities. Check your local library, your 4-H club, your commodity or agricultural awareness group.
For a more advanced demonstration, someone like a beekeeper could have a novel way of engaging people in honey production. This is a great example of appealing to all the senses. Some people will also want to participate in activities such as feeding animals, even ducks or fish. Some farms allow their guests to make scarecrows or play dress-up. Skits are another activity that have worked for some operators.
We use skits for certain parts of our tour. For instance, our strawberry or pumpkin side of the tour, it's really hard to do a tour on pumpkins or strawberries because their life cycle is spread out from very early in April right through to after harvest in the end of or the middle of July. For strawberries, pumpkins are the same way. They get planted in the spring, harvest in the fall. Kids come out to a pumpkin field, they really can't see a whole lot happening. So what we do skits, and that's a way to get kids involved in understanding all the steps through the cycle, the life cycle of a pumpkin or a strawberry.
Begin to mark off potential activity areas, like a horse arena for demonstrations, and a pasture area or a woodlot for trail rides. Animal enclosures for an expanded petting barnyard. Open areas for a playground, group games, and picnicking. Woods for wagon rides and nature paths. Water bodies for you fish, duck feeding, and bird observation blinds. Cultivated areas for you pick fruit and veggies, you cut flowers, mazes.
It's time to pause again. Write down at least one seeing experience, one doing experience, and one learning experience that you could create for your guests on your farm.
Making your guests comfortable is really critical to the experience. So what are you providing for your guests' needs?
People need places to sit and relax.
From the parking lot to the washrooms, there are many considerations to be made.
Let's start from your guest's point of entry. Make it really easy for them to know where to go. The parking area should be clearly identified. Use signs to show where cars and RVs can park and where buses can drop off. You can use old railway ties, fencing, or shrubs to show how you want them to park. parallel, angle, etc. Visitors will appreciate pavement and level surfaces. You may consider preferred parking for the handicapped guests or expectant mothers.
Upon arrival, your guests will need to know where to go first. Again, signage is important, as is having an area for groups to be received. A covered area would be ideal, even heated if you're open year-round. Having a visual map for your guests will help orient them to your farm.
Washrooms are essential. Your audience will expect your washrooms to be clean and well-stocked at the very least. However, washrooms can set the tone for your whole business and establish a level of trust in you as an operator. You will also have an opportunity to theme your washrooms, even make them educational and cater to specific needs. Handicapped access, baby changing tables, or stools for children, even an area for mothers to nurse.
Keeping your audience in mind again, offer areas to sit down and rest, and be sheltered from the sun, the wind, the rain, and the snow. Be creative.
You can also help people get around your farm with an added element of fun. Many farms have incorporated people movers into their operations.
Think about other amenities that will add to your guest comfort. Coat racks, boot scrapers, garbage cans, a place to park their produce, signs that tell them how to pick products properly, and bags that are easily accessible are all examples of amenities that your guests will appreciate. This will also help keep your operation clean and orderly.
There are a number of different ways to meet shopping and eating needs. These can be important moneymakers for a farm operation. A new building isn't always necessary. Even a room in an existing building can be adapted for a retail or eating area.
If visitors are welcomed, treated like guests, and have their needs looked after, they will be more receptive and likely stay longer.
In order for us to have a successful tour, I think there's three critical things that we need to keep in mind. The first is the preparation. So if we do a really good job of understanding the needs and the expectations of our teachers, right away they're expecting one thing, they're going to get that, and then we're also prepared to provide the kind of experience that they're looking for. So being prepared, so when the bus shows up, you're not rushing around doing last minute stuff. Everything's ready. And it looks like you're ready for them. And the first thing to do is greet the bus, get on, welcome them, make them feel that we're excited to have them come. In fact, sometimes we'll even put their school name up on our reader board when they're coming into the farm to let them know that we're excited to have them come.
Choosing parking areas means finding extensive level areas to allow for expansion, and siting so as not to block the prime views of your attraction from the road. Thinking ahead means you plan for a bus drop-off and turnaround. Orient activities away from your house to minimize disturbance and avoid traffic flowing past your house. A reception area and washrooms needs to be in close proximity to the parking area. Similarly, the eating area and the shopping area should be close to the parking area in order to capture visitors as they enter and exit. Consider the direction of the prevailing winds and seasonal exposure to the sun when deciding where the eating and rest areas should be situated.
Your ag tourism site may be your home, but to your guests, it's unfamiliar territory. It is quite likely that your ranch or farm environment is very unfamiliar to them, and you must safety-proof your area.
Think about where you don't want your visitors to go. Those sensitive areas, off-limit areas, hazards need to be clearly designated. Your visitors want an interesting but safe visit.
Accessibility starts with having signs showing clear directions to your site, as well as having signs on your site, clearly stating things like hours of operation, phone number, and even your website. It's also vital to have signs that give clear directions on where to go when inside your operation. Find out how accessible your site really is by having someone unfamiliar with it walk around and look for the small things like nails that are sticking out, raised steps, and even gopher holes.
It's in your farm's interest as much as the visitors to safety-proof your property. Think about preventing things like loose dogs, exposed chemicals, and easy access to machinery. It would also be recommended that you post water hazard information and no smoking signs, as well as signifying off-limits areas.
You also need to plan your emergency protocol. It should include things like staff training, a well-stocked first aid kit, everyone knowing the legal land description and farm address for the fire truck or ambulance, a fire safety plan, an incident report procedure, and biosecurity consideration.
In the poultry side, it's very hands-on. We actually let the kids collect the eggs. We let them smell in the barn. We let them go through a foot bath so that they understand what biosecurity means and that they can pick up disease from outside birds and how we have to monitor not getting our chickens sick. And so we try and do everything as not take anything for granted. All these things that didn't seem exciting to us before are now becoming experiences for children. Some of the drawbacks of the tours, I would see the biggest drawback that comes to mind is CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, is an inspector for our poultry facility. They're always concerned about different people coming in and disrupting our biosecurity. So we've had to put in place walls with one-way glass that people can see in and maybe have a little bit extra expense that we've had to incur because of our desire to provide this kind of education, which is very hard to, for children to get.
Cleanliness. We're dealing with people who are not used to the farm, who are mostly suburbanites or urbanites, and they expect a level of hospitality. And so when you're starting it up from a farming, you have to be cleaner than you ever dreamed that you'd have to be, for a safety reason and for a PR reason. That's a major concern. I wouldn't. It's a drawback because it's a lot of work, but it's good to get it done.
Locate advanced directional signs beside the roadway to capture traffic from both directions, and place a turning assistance sign close to the entrance. A site identification sign needs to be highly visible at your road entrance and can be reinforced on the side or roof of a building. Also, identify any storage areas that need to be off limits for visitors.
Now it's time to pause. Write down at least one location you need to reevaluate for safety reasons and one location you need to eliminate from the tour. Now that you've identified your site attributes, your activities, your amenities, and the access, you can now determine how to orchestrate those visitor impressions.
Proper visitor flow will allow you to direct your guests through your site, not only in the most timely fashion, but also in the order of the activities and experiences that you've predetermined.
From the parking lot to the gift shop, you need to lay out your tour in a very logical sequence.
And the larger the crowd numbers, the more important this becomes.
The biggest change we'd make is probably traffic flow. We're okay as soon as we get them in and unload them from the buses or unload them from the cars in the case of the MOPS group. But the way our farm is set up, because the buildings are 150 years old in certain places, traffic has to flow through areas that we have to walk through with the tour. That's our biggest concern. We're investigating moving the driveway, but there's a very high dollar cost we're looking at now, but that would be the biggest thing I'd change because safety has to be your number one concern.
The flow of visitor traffic is sometimes overlooked, but should be thought about in the early planning stages. It affects not only safety, but also the logical sequence of a tour.
Identify the attributes on your site that best illustrate the farm story points you want to make for different audiences. Recognize areas with expansive views and good sight lines that show off your buildings and landscape features to help reinforce your storyline. Connect these focal points into a loop so visitors start and end at the same place.
Try to have it so your guests end up in close proximity to your retail area to maximize revenue potential.
In summary, you need to determine the best places to tell the different elements of your story, connect them in a logical sequence, and consider a mix of see, do, and learn experiences.
We're like everyone else. We decided to sequence it out by what we had. And we started out, we were a livestock and grain farm, so that was a natural first step. We took them out to taught them about grains and how they grew, and livestock and how it was raised. And then we slowly added the play area and the straw maze, and that all became part of our tour as we slowly evolved. So it's most like other farms. It started out very haphazard, and we had to adapt it as we went.
Ensure the pedestrian flow is separated from the car traffic flow when accessing activity areas. Fanning out of optional activities from a central reception admission area can work effectively. A series of connected, looping paths accommodates various age groups by providing options of different distances. Children's play areas should be close to rest areas to allow for supervision. Rest areas and picnic spots work well when placed close to food purchasing areas. All of these spots should connect easily with any temporary tents and games areas for large groups.
Now it's time to pause. Sketch how you see the visitor touring around your site, from entry to exit, in order to have the most impact. Perception studies show that visitors are open and receptive to everything they see around them, as opposed to the actual people who live on site.
It's like your site is being judged by every existing customer as well as every potential customer who might drive by.
Visitors notice when the paint is faded on the barn, the windows aren't clean, and the weeds are numerous.
So you've got all of the elements in place. Now you've got to dress it up. Try doing a drive-by of your property to assess the curb appeal. Is your site attractive? Nicely landscaped? Will it entice people to look and slow down? Consider a strategy that will tempt people to turn in, like an eye-catching entrance gate, a fenced driveway, or even a hay bale art display.
Visual interest involves attention to detail, creativity, and theming. As well, try adding an element of movement. It's been said that movement involves and color stimulates. Both of them attract attention. Remember to consider appearance, both indoors and outdoors.
Consider consistency in your look. Remember to match the appearance to the audience. Don't forget the appearance of your staff as well. And remember to remove clutter and junk. Really keep it tidy.
Just like a bench show, that pie or that quilt had better look its best. If you want to portray an image of taking pride in the production of food or fiber, of being a steward of the land, of caring for your animals, of being committed to sustainable agriculture, and of providing a clean and healthy environment, your equipment, your facilities, your animals, and you need to reflect this image. It all adds up to trust, and people do business with people they trust.
It's time to pause again. What could you do to improve the appearance at your site?
destination an extraordinary destination. I think you need to change an ordinary space into a distinctive place.
But what is it that makes an average experience into a really memorable one?
It's the atmosphere that makes all the difference.
Here's where you pull it all together. Determine how to make your destination stand out. It's that wow factor. This will help to increase the value in the customer's mind.
Pay attention to the mood you are creating. Friendly, relaxed, bright, neat, and well looked after. All leave an impression with your visitors. Add humor and music into the mix to bring it to life.
Create an ambiance with landscaping and gardens. Be conscious of scent and try to leave them with a memorable experience.
Consider who among your staff can relate best with your guests. You may find it takes different hosts for different groups, perhaps even a heritage character. The friendliness of your staff and site is the most important part of the experience.
In summary, you will create positive word-of-mouth promotion and generate buzz in the community if you address the presentation side of your tour destination. It's time to pause again. Think about where on your site you could create a magical atmosphere.
At this point, you know why you've invited your guests, and you've described the ideal visitor. You've identified your site attributes and amenities, and you've planned your activities. You've created your visitor flow, and you've designed your site layout. You have a compelling story to tell, and you've added sensory appeal through colors, textures, sound, aroma, and flavor.
When people go on a tour, they're looking for an experience. They want elements of entertainment, education, aesthetics, and escapism. Some people just want to be there, while other people want to watch or be entertained. Other people want to learn about it, and some people want to do or try it.
The foundation for an ag tourism destination, it's definitely in place now.
The last thing you can reflect upon is, what are you going to keep doing? What are you going to stop doing? And what are you going to start doing?